offensive coordinator Rick Bowie. We'll just jump right into questions. Jeff, you want to kick it off?
Sure, Rick. I thought a pretty balanced offensive performance by you guys this past week. I was interested to see Maverick end up leading you in rushing, I think 36 yards, but on 6 carries. I think coming out of high school way back when, he was listed as a dual threat guy. You think he's still got a little bit of that in him?
Yeah, he showed it. We had a little bit of fun with that on the bus ride back. Old man making some plays with his feet. The kids had some fun with it too. So, yeah, I mean, again, he's shown the capability. I mean, he is still a plenty good athlete. You know what I mean? It's all relative. I don't think he's the first guy in mind that people envision running the ball, and sometimes that creates openings. There was a Q draw later in that game that opened up pretty good because there's not a lot of expectation of that. And so, yeah, he's provided the ability to extend some plays. One of those was a third down. That was a huge play in that game, third and I think it was 12. And for him to extend the play and move the chains there, that was a big play early in that game. So when he can provide that, we always joke, that's a big help for us. And we give him a lot of programming and a lot of tools and a lot of things he can use. But when he wants to break a play down and extend it with his feet, we sure are appreciative. So.
We talked about the difference with Coach Helton about the difference between the first half and the second half. For you, maybe kind of what was your message like at halftime to really get these guys exploding?
Yeah, I think it just comes down to execution pretty regularly. A lot of that is just subtle tweaks to the game plan and not a lot. You're not going to throw it all out. At this point, we have a pretty decent sense of which teams are which. We got a sample size of enough games now where you get a sense of who people are going to be defensively and offensively. So it's more just about getting to your best stuff, running it frequently, and then executing. So we talk a lot to the guys about, it is always going to be about us, and I think we executed a little bit better at times later in that game.
Coach, when it comes to preparing for a team that's also coming off of Bowie, what's your approach as far as like an offensive approach? Because you have, like you said, you have game film of the defense, but obviously they still did just come off of Bowie, so they may switch something up. It may be something that you've never seen before.
Yeah, I think you just prepare with the information that you have. I think anybody with extended time is going to use it differently. Some people are going to try to tweak who they are. We spend a significant amount of time looking at ourselves first. And so I think defenses do that as well. I think it's one of those things where you go in with the information that you have, and then if somebody's going to drastically change their identity, we can get that fixed pretty quickly. We have the technology to be able to get those things identified pretty quickly and get it to the players fast enough. So when those situations arise, you can't really prepare for it till you get into the game because we don't know what's coming. But above all, you focus on yourself and you use the information that you have.
Warned you I was going to ask you about that jet sweep too. KD pulling that one off. After coming out with a lot of the Wildcat stuff, just seems like you guys are digging a little deeper and deeper into the playbook, especially on run concept.
Yeah, you try to create explosives when you can, some of that schematic, and then again, there's certain skill sets. KD is an explosive player, so you're going to try to get him touches in those areas, and that's one way that we thought we could get on the edge pretty quick. I think you see our backs again. We've snapped it to them directly a couple times. You just try to use creativity where you can to try to get your best players in the best spots and the ways to attack defenses. So glad that one worked out for us. It was a big spot in the game.
Speaking of KD, you just called him an explosive player. He obviously had a high of 9 catches on Saturday or Friday, whatever day that was last week.
Yeah, it all blends together for sure.
It definitely is. But can you just speak on his growth that you're seeing and how he's just continuing to thrive this season?
Yeah, sure. KD's been that for around here for a while. We talk a lot about newcomers in today's world, but that's a kid who stuck around and realized that his role was going to continuously increase, and he's taking advantage of that. He's an explosive player that gives you a lot of different things, that can do a lot of different things well. I think you've seen at times this year he can help you in the vertical passing game. We could also kind of get creative and try to make sure he's getting touches in different ways. But it's helpful that he can do a lot of different things, and the ball sometimes naturally finds him through the process of the quarterback programming and our progressions. But then also you have ways like we touched on where we know we got to manufacture touches to our best guys. So that's a testament to KD. He's always been that explosive player around here, and we're really glad he stuck around.
I just want to get your sense of where you feel like you guys are offensively at this point of the year. I mean, obviously you lead the conference, so I don't think you can ask for more than that.
Sure.
Is there a little impatience on your part to want to see those guys progress even more, or are you happy with how you guys are developing?
Yeah, I think there's been a lot of meat left on the bone each week, and I think whether that's a touchdown in the red area or being more efficient on third downs, I mean, I promise you there's a lot of areas for improvement. Coach touched on it. The season's a marathon. We got a long way to go. And I'm pretty excited about coaching this group to try to get the very best out of each player on the offense every single day. There's a lot left out there. I'm pleased with the way we've played at times, but certainly lots of areas for improvement that we talk about pretty frequently.
Coach, last one. Just thoughts on the offensive line. They've been keeping Maverick off the ground pretty good this season. What are your thoughts on your growth from the beginning of the season to now?
Yeah, I think you've seen, again, it's been fun to see a couple different guys in there at different times, and that, there's good depth there. Plenty of I think they've done a good job running the football later. I talked a little bit about this last week. They were challenged a little bit, like I said in here about running the football a little bit. So with that said, I think they've responded. And then in pass pro, like you mentioned, they're doing a good job keeping him upright. We think we got a pretty good shot when he's standing back there comfortable to have some success, and I'm proud of that group. Now, like I said, there's plenty of areas to improve. At times I think that group knows that there's a lot that they can work on to continue to get to where we need to be, because, again, only halfway there. So we got a long way to go.
Coach, looking at this FIU team as well, I know they've had a couple of injuries. I think majority in the secondary. I think against UConn they also lost one of their primary linebackers. How as an offense do you maybe prep for that in terms of looking for who to expect on the defensive side? Does that pose a challenge at all?
Yeah, I mean, I think you prepare. I think you anticipate having those guys back. In today's world, there's really no way to know, but you prepare. I mean, they're back-end guys that were out the last couple of weeks, I think, are really, really good players. And so you anticipate having them back because they make them different, And so the secondary guys that I anticipate them playing, we anticipate them playing, and then if they don't, so be it. But like I said, you prepare like they're going to be there, and I think they will.
Awesome. Thank you, Coach.
Thanks.